Now, the Mediterranean diet is a generic term based on traditional eating habits in the countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. There's not one standard Mediterranean diet because there are at least 16 countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. Eating styles vary among these countries and even among regions with each country because the difference in culture, ethnic background, religion, economy, ge- geographical differences, and agricultural production. Sorry about that, guys. However, there are some common factors. Plenty of fruits, vegetables, breads of other types of grains, potatoes, beans, nuts, seeds, and olive oil is a primary source of fat. Dairy products, eggs, fish, poultry in low to moderate amounts. This diet works because it emphasizes the consumption of vegetables and fruits, whole grains, beans and legumes, including enough low-fat and fat-free dairy products, fish, poultry, non-tropical vegetable oils, nuts, while it limits added sugars, sugary beverages, sodium, highly processed foods, refined carbohydrates, saturated fats, fatty or processed meats. And although it's not recommended in most of the Mediterranean countries, alcohol can be a part of this diet in very small
Oh,
amounts.
thank God.
Specifically wine.
I was going to tell you, Joseph, I went on a family trip to Israel a couple of years ago, and it is a significant difference. You're not eating things out of wrappers, out of the 7-Eleven. Everything's in like open markets. We were in Jerusalem. We were there for 9 days, and every meal I thought it would change, and it didn't. It was 95% fruits, vegetables, grains, and where's the protein, right? I kept looking for the steak or something like that. And there wasn't a lot of milkshakes and, like you said, sugary drinks. You can maybe find a Coke, but it is definitely noticeably different when you're over there.
Sugar is such a killer. It really is.
Oh.
Yeah, like Hans said, sugar is one of the worst possible things that we consume, but it's also in some cases necessary. So
it's totally necessary. I mean, glucose is what fuels your body, but anything in excess, as we were discussing, earlier today, is way too much. And sugar is, especially in the United States, everything is so full of sugar. It's almost impossible living here to avoid excess unless you make it your life's mission. That's how I feel.
And some cases it's not that easy, Now, lastly, there is the keto diet, which is well known for being a low-carb diet where the body produces ketones in the liver to be used as energy. It is referred to by many different names: the ketogenic diet, the low-carb diet, low-carb high-fat, or LCHF, and etc. It is actually one of the most damaging diets for the body, and it is one that makes drastic changes. So it is high risk, high reward in a sense. When you're eating something in high carbs, your body will produce glucose and insulin. Glucose is the easiest molecule for your body to convert and use as energy, so it'll be chosen over most other energy sources throughout your body. And insulin is produced. Insulin produced to process the glucose in your bloodstream by taking it around the body. Since glucose is being used as primary energy, your fats are not needed and therefore stored. Typically, on a normal higher carbohydrate diet, the body will use glucose as the main form of energy. By lowering the intake of carbs, the body induced into a state known as ketosis. Ketosis is a natural process the body initiates to help us survive when food intake is low. During this state, we produce ketones, which are produced from the breakdown of fats in the liver.
Aren't they, on some level, aren't ketones actually toxic? Did your research indicate anything like that? I feel like I learned this in a different class or from some other source a long time ago, and you're reminding me of it right now. I think that ketones can be toxic to the body if they're not, metabolized correctly, or I don't know. And sorry if I derailed you.
No, you're perfectly fine. And yes, in some cases, ketones can be. When your body doesn't process them effectively, it can be damaging to the blood cells in your system. And as it goes through your body's process, you can start shutting down vital organs due to lack of nutrition and ketones that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, in lack of a better term.
So now we have a diet that is changing the way your body works and producing things that could potentially shut down vital organs. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's the number one technique.
No, most damaging, but also most effective. So it's a win, and I guess, devil's advocate.
How badly do you want the results?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the end goal of a properly maintained keto diet is to force your body into this metabolic state. We don't do this, sorry about that. We don't do this through starvation of calories, but starvation of carbohydrates. Our body is incredibly adaptive to what you put into it. When you overload it with fats and take away carbs, it will begin to burn ketones as the primary source of energy. Optimal ketone levels offer many health, weight loss, physical, and mental performance benefits. But as Hans stated, there's also the downside effects that it could damage those as well if taken to a higher level. That's why this is one of the most dangerous forms of diet.
So Joseph, earlier you mentioned alcohol, and you can repeat this, cause I don't know if I was 100% there on board or not with if you answered this earlier. Earlier you mentioned alcohol. Where does it fit into nutrition? Again, if you already answered it, just to like get a brief recap, because I think just really getting that point across is really important to those that are watching this video, that are saying, oh look, well, hey, if he said alcohol, kind of a little bit of intake, a little bit of intake every day. Elaborate more on that question if you already answered that already.
Yeah, I'll touch up on it a little bit. So alcohol can have many negative effects on your body, one of which being diabetes. All alcohol contains significant amounts of sugar, which consumed in excessive amounts can lead to diabetes. Alcohol can start a chain reaction of bad things that will soon happen, starting off with the brain. Alcohol interferes with the brain's communication pathways and can affect the way your brain looks and works. These disruptions could change mood and behavior and make it harder to think clearly and move with coordination. Now into the heart. Drinking a lot over a long time or too much on a single occasion can damage the heart, causing problems including cardiomyopathy.
I know that one.
Cardiomyopathy, there you go. Stretching and drooping of the heart muscle, arrhythmias, irregular heartbeat, stroke, and high blood pressure. It also affects the liver. Heavy drinking takes a toll on the liver, and it could lead to a variety of problems and liver inflammation, including steatosis or fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis, fibrosis, and cirrhosis.
Okay, now you're just bumming me out, dude. Come on.
I bummed myself out too, trust me. And down to the pancreas. Alcohol causes the pancreas to produce toxic substances that can eventually lead to pancreatitis, a dangerous inflammation and swelling of the blood vessels in the pancreas that prevents proper digestion. And finally, it also affects the immune system. Drinking too much can weaken your body's immune system, making your body much easier of a target for diseases or, pandemics. People who drink chronically are more liable to contract a disease like pneumonia or tuberculosis than people who don't drink as much. Drinking a lot on a single occasion slows your body's ability to ward off infections, even up to 24 hours after getting drunk.
Last question, at least for me anyway, and then the rest of the audience can, or the rest of the hosts can ask other questions. So diabetes was something that came up quite often in your speech so far. Can you speak about a little bit about more of it before we finish up today?
Yeah, of course. Diabetes is an ongoing issue that many Americans are dealing with. There are different types of diabetes, and some types of diabetes are due to genetic mutations from birth that cannot be solved by eating healthy. Some people are born with it. I'll be mainly talking about type 1 and 2 diabetes, which is mainly from poor eating habits. Type 1 and 2 diabetes stem from bad eating habits where insulin-producing cells are damaged or destroyed, and stop producing insulin. Insulin is needed to move blood sugar into the cells throughout the body. The resulting insulin deficiency leaves too much sugar in the blood and not enough in the cells for energy. Diabetes increases the risk of numerous things like stroke, high blood pressure, and heart disease. The best way to combat diabetes would be eating moderate amounts of healthy sugars, like natural sugar from fruits, no processed sugars, no sugary drinks, and water is the best thing for us. Getting a balanced diet that works well for our body, getting enough of all the vitamins, A, B, C, D, E, and K, omega-3s, and proteins. Flexitarians, which is defined as those who eat meat only once a week and none of most unhealthy sugars, reduce the risk of diabetes by over 20%. Becoming a vegetarian and completely cutting out meat reduces the risk of diabetes by 61%. Becoming a vegan and completely cutting out all meat and products from animals, which reduce the risk of diabetes by 78%.
No thanks.
Yeah, I think I'll pass on that one too.
Definitely.
Just,
I'm still gonna have the occasional Slurpee from 7-Eleven. So.
Right.
But like moderation, like we've been talking about, right? Those
Moderation.
the
Maybe
balance.
that's maybe we should have been the moderates.
You guys ever had sugar cane drink?
Sorry?
Sugar cane drink.
What
It's,
should you drink?
Sugar cane, you guys know sugar cane?
Sugar cane.
Yeah, they press the sugar cane. It's a natural tree, right? Plant. And they press it and there's some juice. It's called sugar cane drink.
It's delicious.
It's very sweet, but it's natural.
Yeah.
I thought you said cocaine drink at first. I was like, what? We're super excited to be here today, everybody.
When I took a trip to Africa, to Uganda specifically, we walked through fields and we chopped down sugarcane and stripped them and just chewed on them like a celery stalk almost, and it's fun and delicious and it keeps you busy. It's like chewing gum or something like that.
Yeah, we eat that a lot in Vietnam, and it's help clean your teeth too.
Yeah, that's right.
When you chew like that, it clean your teeth. It's good.
Unfortunately, when there's a dollar associated with healthy sugars, right? The process of sugar cane, it's so labor intensive compared to the other ways to produce corn syrup and stuff that are not good for us. So feeding the masses and being marketable and keeping the dollar value down where it could be can make money, I guess is what kind of hinders some of those good things for us.
Well, I keep coming back to this, and sorry if I sound, like what do you call it when you say things too many times? Broken record. But I keep over and over, I'm reminded as we're going through this, how interconnected all of these things are that we're talking about. I'm sure, Scott, that stress impacts in many ways, including, getting a lack of sleep and probably diet too, your immune system, right? If you are super stressed, you're probably more likely to have illness than if you're completely at peace. And Buckley, you probably can confirm that too for anxiety. They're very interrelated. And Tristan, if you're not working out, you probably have a decreased immune system. I know that if you're not sleeping, you have a decreased immune system. And now if you're not eating well or you're drinking, you have a decreased immune system. And it gets even deeper than that. I took some notes here while you were sharing with us, Joseph. You were saying alcohol increased the chances of getting disease and lowered your immune system. So does a lack of sleep, and consumption of alcohol makes you sleep less and have a poor quality of sleep. So that's just a double impact. You're already getting an impaired immune system from the alcohol. The alcohol is not helping you sleep, so you're getting a doubly impaired immune system from a lack of sleep. And now you're probably stressed and anxious about it, and you have no desire to exercise, and oh man, you're in trouble. There's a lot, again, well balanced in all aspects, not not just you can't just focus on any one of these things. But sorry to keep derailing you, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with us, or I think you pretty much answered a lot of questions.
I think I covered all the bases, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on the show, and make sure you guys tune into our future episodes, or go back and watch the ones we've already had up. And thank you, Joseph, for tuning in, for coming on to the show, and thank you, Bach Lee, Scott, and Hans for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
You bet.